It was 25 years ago, September 11th, 2001. I was standing in front of the security desk facing the north door at the CNA building in Glens Falls, New York. And I was talking to one of the other security guards. At one point, a man got off the elevator with a very concerned look on his face. I asked if everything was okay. He said no, and that a plane had crashed into the Twin Towers in New York City. Knowing what I know about the airports in the area, I thought air traffic control must have made a big mistake and given the wrong vector approach to the pilot. You see, runway 36 at JFK Airport lines up kind of close to where planes would fly by the towers. A short time later, we heard a second plane hit the towers, and my initial thought was that the second plane must have followed the first one. My thinking was someone messed up big time. Shortly after that, people in the building where I was started leaving, many very upset, and I could understand that. They had friends who were working in a World Trade Center and were concerned about them. At one point during all this, we had turned the radio on so we could listen to the news. A lot of theories were being tossed around. Then we heard that a plane had crashed into the Pentagon and it appeared intentional. I knew something wasn't right. Still trying to process all this in my mind, someone mentioned that we were under attack, and I was thinking this sounds about right. I contacted my National Guard unit in Vermont and was told to have my bags packed and be ready. For context, I used to fly Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I knew the layout of the airports in the area and how close the flight paths were to the World Trade Center. The next few days seemed kind of odd, almost unnerving, not seeing any aircraft in the air as everything had been grounded. It wasn't quite a week after that fateful day on the 11th that I remembered something I heard days before that I initially brushed off as strange banter. I used to get my gas at a gas station Mini Mart in South Glens Falls, New York, because they had the cheapest gas around. As I was paying for my gas one day, the man who owned the place was talking to someone else that was behind the counter with him. They were both of Middle Eastern descent. The man that owned the building said to the other one, "You are not going to fly into the towers." At that point, they started yelling at each other in their native language, and I left. Upon remembering that, my thought was, oh my something God. I thought, could it be that I was face to face with one of the terrorists that flew a plane into the Twin Towers? I drove the rest of the way home that day thinking I had to tell someone. Once I got home, I went online and found a telephone number that was set up as a hotline to the FBI to call in tips regarding the attack. I called it, and of course, a message indicating that due to the high number of calls, they could not answer mine, but I could leave a message. I left a message saying my name, callback number, and told them about what occurred at the gas station Mini Mart in South Glens Falls. I never did get a call back, which is not surprising. But it wasn't long after that the business was raided by a variety of federal agencies. While nothing was found that could tie the owner to the attacks on 9/11, there were some tax issues that ultimately resulted in the owner losing the business and having it shut down. Now, I have seen video surveillance days after the attacks of the Twin Towers while the towers were burning and watched them collapse. I saw people either jumping or falling from the upper floor of the towers and heard the sound of their bodies as they hit the ground. This is something that to this day, especially as the anniversary approaches, that I can still see in my mind and still hear the sounds of the bodies hitting the ground in my memory. And usually I'm fairly unsettled as the anniversary of the attack approaches. While it has gotten a little easier over the years, I am feeling that this year might be difficult because we will be at the 25-year mark and the extra media coverage is not going to help. But as difficult as it may be, this is a day we need to remember. This is a day that we should never be celebrated. It should not be called Patriots Day or any other thing, except for what it is related to. It's a day of solemn thoughts as we think about what happened and the lives that were lost on that day. Thank you for listening.